I'd like to go back to that idea of static to kinetic energy in that process. But I want to introduce it as a little bit more corporate, because I think sometimes it's easy for me. I'll make another confession that as an artist, I love to stay in my head. Frequently, my husband will tell me, you don't say as much as you think you do. I live in this world. I'm like, no, I definitely said that. And he's like, no, actually, I have no idea what is going on in there. So I find myself isolated. And I think just as important it is to have personal experience, to be lifted out of the rut, I think we need each other to do that. And we also need to offer that to those around us. So it's this corporate experience too. It's not just picking our own selves up by our bootstraps, and sometimes it's not just us singing into a microphone. And I don't know if y'all remember the decade called 2020, but it was a thing, and that might stir up, even by saying the name of that year, it might stir up some tiredness in your heart. For me, it does. It certainly does. But I remember at first, I genuinely was grateful for some built-in excuses to kind of take things off the schedule, excuses to hang out with my husband a little extra at home. But I realized as I started looking around and I started seeing, just more and more difficulties and heartache, both personally and just in broader circles, I realized that the isolation was growing a bit, and we all sensed that. And it started to feel like, if I was on one little lockdown island with these people here, and then you could kind of bump over here to some other people on this lockdown island if it was a safe lockdown island, and we just kind of bumped into each other for a little bit. And I found that this permeated almost every level of life. And I remember particularly at church, where the purpose is to gather, be together, we had to make some tough calls as the news changed and as information changed. You just had to flex and flow. And so we had to make the call, okay, we're just going to record services and it's just going to be the music team. And I didn't understand what a level of exhaustion it would be to look into a lens week after week and trying to imagine the people that I'm so used to being with. I'm so used to the presence of other people. That's why I can't take this for granted anymore. I don't think any of us can. But I found in the midst of that, there were these true safe havens of connection. And one of those being that we were working on an album during that time, the band that we formed with some other people called As Isaac. We were working on this project. And we joked because it sort of became group therapy. Our crew would come into the studio and sometimes we'd talk for half an hour, a full hour more, just to process the complexity and the pain and the injustices, just everything coming to a head, the chaos, right? Because we needed each other. We needed to know what was beautiful and good and true. And we needed to hear that from other people, like, I'm here. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. It's static to kinetic. And it was carrying on. It was that unlearning that I mentioned before. And we can't just wait until we combust. And I found myself, while I was on this little island, somewhere in the midst of recording, I personally fell into a really nerdy rabbit hole. And this was prompted by a book called Clean, and it was all about the microbiome. And if you're not, tell me more. Are you intrigued? Now that I have your attention. Oh, yes. If you don't know, a microbiome is basically referring to different systems. I feel like I just made my voice change a little bit. It's referring to different systems of microorganisms that are present in human, animal, and natural matter. But they're fascinating. Just Google it. Maybe you're already into it. Let's talk. But I got really into it because I love seeing how things connect. I love seeing how people from such different backgrounds can share space, and I love seeing different cultures, and I'm just curious. I just love it all. So I got into it. It also reaffirmed my love of compost and microbes in the soil. So that took me to another fanatic level. But I found in this concept just so much inspiration. I was so fascinated by how porous we are as people. Our skin is the biggest organ, and these different microbiomes live on us, they live in us, and they literally keep us alive. And not only that, the way they interact with the microbiomes of other people and other animals and other environmental factors keep us healthy. So we literally need other people, animals, other things to keep us healthy. Isolation eventually means death. And I love that this is actually woven into our nature. It's not just something metaphoric. It's not just an artsy thing that I came up with. It's actually in our DNA to be this way. So this next song I wrote from that really nerdy place. And I really, I hope we learn. I hope we learn from the decade that is 2020. But I hope we learn how essential it is to be aware of even the invisible, to know that we're sustained by the invisible, to know that our system depends on far more than we could ever see or even understand. And I hope, too, that we're stirred up to gratitude for what we do so quickly see and so quickly take for granted, the people around us, the things that they carry that we don't see, that it both influence us and that we also need to influence for them. So this next song is called Porous. I think you'll get the gist. Talk to me after if you don't, and we'll nerd out together. Loud, bright, undefined, 5 radios playing at the same time. The man on the corner is singing songs to get outside his mind. Heart stuck, plastic cup, 1 drink and the bottle's all done. We'll send it over the ocean and back to say we did our job. Porous, always open. I was meant to take you in with my mind, my soul, my skin. Porous, always open. I was meant to take you in every way I can. Staying clear when I'm still, but I hate me behind the wheel. My focus is drifting with every song, changing how I feel. It's a Dutch text, nervous laugh, videos are flowing back to back. Feed me distraction and purpose to stop fear I can't outlast. Take you in with my mind, my soul, my skin. Porous, always open. I was meant to take you in every way I can. life that we cannot see. I am not sure we can know just how absorbent that we really are, with all of these holes, depending on life that we cannot see. I am not sure we can know just how absorbent and how we become like everything that we behold. Porous, always open. I was meant to take you in with my mind, my soul, my skin. Porous, always open. I was meant to take you in every way I can. Porous, always open. I was meant to take you in with my mind, my soul, my skin. Porous, always open. I was meant to take you in every way I can. Every way I can. Every way I can. Thank you so much.